Bohemian Rhapsody. Today what I'm going to be doing is taking a square punch and I'm going to be demonstrating how you can layer up squares. Similarly to how I do concentric circles, I'm going to be doing some concentric squares today. The goal of today's gift is maybe to create something that's a little bit more masculine, not that it wouldn't be appropriate for a female as well, but I wanted to demonstrate the square punch, and I also wanted to incorporate some washi tape as well today as an alternative to ribbon. So let's get started. First of all, this particular punch, you can see there's two different sizes of squares. These are actually the buttons on the top. The squares come out the bottom. This was bought many years ago. I purchased it from Creative Memories, and I love it because both size squares are in the same punch. I've already punched out a couple of squares. I was just going to go mostly with black and white. I did add a punch circle as well as another alternative. I just recently actually picked up at the dollar store this pad of it. It was only $1.25 and it's got some metallics in it. And I thought it was a great deal for just some small pieces of paper that could be punched to add that little extra element with a little bit of shimmer to them as opposed to just the flat colors that I generally use. So I may incorporate just a silver square as well, just so that you can see a different look. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was washi tape. And of course this decorative tape can be found at craft stores, but I also sometimes will pick it up just at the dollar store. I don't have a ton of it, and I find that I've found some that I really like, and then when I actually get them home, I find that I tend to not use them. So what I've discovered is that when you're purchasing washi tape, you're better to stay away from those that are busy or super thematic. So if you look at the ones at this particular end, I've got this on a wooden spoon just to hold it. But if you look at these ones at this end, there's like kind of a school theme. This one has little houses on it. This one has little animals. This one's floral, but it's quite busy. This one, I find it doesn't have a ton of color. It's just got the orange and green and pink in it. But again, I find it quite busy. What I've noticed is when I purchase those ones that are busier in nature, I might think they're cute at the time, or maybe you're buying them for a very specific scrapbook paper layout, or perhaps a card, so you have a very specific intention for them. I think they're great. But when you're just buying for general use to have on stock, you are much better to go with washi tapes that are either a solid color or the prints are just a little bit simpler. I find them so much more versatile, and then of course you'll end up using them. So I've just kind of taken a sample out of my collection just so that I can kind of show you the difference. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to actually use this black and white one. What I'm going to do is just use the washi tape in lieu of ribbon. So it's a great alternative to using ribbon, and in many cases can be less expensive. You get tons on a roll. So if you buy a washi tape that's pretty versatile, you can get lots of uses out of it, and it's of course super easy to use. So all I'm going to do is try to center this up. I'm going to stand a little bit to see if I can just get a better view. Sometimes I find I get it off center because I don't have an aerial view. You'll actually notice on this particular gift, if you look carefully, there's a little bit of a tear there, just because I've used this particular box and wrap for a previous gift. But of course my gifts are generally not really gifts at all. They're just boxes that I am wrapping for the purpose of wrapping. And so because of the embellishment I'm using, I thought I could just go right over top of that and it won't matter. So I ripped that off. You could, if this was a gift to give away, I would extend it right across and use it. But because I'm actually going to unwrap it after, I've just thought I may as well just do the top. So this just becomes the foundation for my present in lieu of ribbon. And then what I wanted to show you was just how you can bring those elements in. Now I've already punched this because I'm going to put something through it. What you can do is you can just look at different alternatives for how you want to set those shapes up. So I just have a larger square that's white and then a smaller one that's black. So you could line up concentrically. You could also offset them so you've got kind of more of a diamond on a square. You could also put them concentric, but instead of kind of squaring them off, put them in more of a diamond shape. So there's lots of different variations that you can use. Now, what I generally do when I'm going to do a punch like that is I actually will mark the center with a dot. It just helps me to find where I need to actually put my punch, because sometimes it's hard to eyeball that when you get it into your punch because you can't see both sides of your shape very carefully. So I often will just put a little dot where the center is. And so I'm just going to pull this circle in. I'm going to line up my little dot there, give it a punch, and hopefully that's nice and centered. And then the reason that I've punched these is because I actually have brought a little brad into this focal point, and this particular brad is just a plain silver square, but I like the fact that it's very plain. I like the little bit of shine, and again, I think it keeps it fairly masculine because it's not as pretty looking, I guess. So all I'm going to do is feed that through my shape, stack my shapes up, feed my brad through, and then of course you're going to fold open that brad. And the nice thing about the brad is it actually still allows you to twist those around, move them around however you wish, so you can decide whether you want things squared off or moved around. So with this particular look, you can just by layering those shapes up, you can create different kinds of looks. You can move these around still. The brad allows you some mobility, so you can move that around. You can decide how you want it sitting for your focal point. Do you want it square? Do you want the white lining up on your ribbon there? And so you can just move things around and change it around. Just with the existing shapes that you have, even your brad itself, you can change the direction to square it up or line it up with the white one or line it up with the black one. And so it just allows you a few different looks just by using those very same shapes. You could also take the circle out and just have a very similar look, but just with the squares. I love the layered look. I love how the silver just creates a little bit of a focal point. And so you can leave the circle right out and just go with square on square. I suppose you could even, if you had a smaller punch, or for me, I have my Cricut machine, I could even add another layer of squares in there using a different size. So what I wanted to do is just show you what it would look like if we incorporated the silver in and substituted one of those other colors out. And so all I'm going to do is just set this to the side. And I kind of like this one only because it's very similar to the brad that I use. There is one that's kind of more of a glittery one, which is beautiful as well, but I think this one kind of almost has just a metal look, which is maybe a bit more masculine. So again, with my punch, all I do is, there's a little kind of a seam that you feed it into. I'm going to feed that in. You can look on the back to just make sure that mostly what you're doing is making sure that you're not wasting. Punch it, get a perfect little square there. I'm just going to undo this. I'm going to use this one just to line up so that I can get my hole in the right spot. It's always a little difficult to get it exactly in the center. Hopefully that'll be close. So I just took the white out, and again I wanted to show you how it changes it up. Same exact materials, the paper and the punches, but how it changes the look just by using silver instead of the white. And I just love how it's so plain. I love kind of the geometric look. I think that it makes it a little bit more masculine, and again, it could be used for anybody, but I do like the idea that it's just a little bit less florally and pretty and a little bit more kind of streamlined with kind of more geometric shapes. So I hope you like this idea. And again, I really do find that if you pick the right kinds of washi tape and keep away from things that are too busy, I think it's a great investment. And the other thing is, as I've mentioned many times before, I always feel that circle and square punches are a great investment as well. Now, clearly with a square, you can use a ruler or even just a cutting tool to get those squares as well. But I do think that it's so easy to get them off kilter, and when you get something that's cut off kilter, it kind of destroys the look. So you just want to have nice, sharp shapes. If you're using, if you're going with the idea of concentric shapes like squares or circles, you really want to make sure that they're very precise and very cleanly cut. And so it's worth the investment. So again, I hope you like this idea. Thanks for visiting Bohemian Rhapsody. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to like and share and subscribe to my channel for more great gift wrapping ideas.